We were better without you. Happier without you.
Who are you compared to Harry Potter? Who are you compared to the Chosen One?
Ron, it's lying! Kill it!
Your mother confessed that she preferred me as a son.
What woman would want you? You are nothing. Nothing! Compared to him. You are indeed the chosen one, Harry Potter. Yes, Hermione, I know. And I am. Well, I don't know what I am. Well, including what. Yes. I get all the attention and the love. I will make sure I serve you. Or even more. Yes, even more than Chili. Even more. Ron would be fine with everything. But because this is supposed to upset him, then I am saying you, the real Harry Potter, would say probably. Wow. The real me would probably shoot Ron, so would want Ron and the son's real things here. Hey, only 3 to go. Bloody Horcruxes. Ooh, nice one.
Hello ladies and gentlemen, Nick here, and welcome to my review of Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 1. The first of the final 2 Harry Potter films based on the final Harry Potter novel, Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 1. Just Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows for the book. Annoying sounds outside. So, yeah, Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 1, the first half of this story. And yeah, I think this is a absolutely brilliant film. I mean, it's not quite as good as the next one. It's not fantastic. I'm not going to call it a 10 out of 10 movie, but I still think it's a fantastic installment. The plot basically sees Harry, Ron, and Hermione trying to find the remainder of Lord Voldemort's Horcruxes, or at least starting to, because in this film they only find one, the one that they thought they had found at the end of the last film, but turned out to be a fake, and they find the real one here. And then they'll find the other ones in the next story. But we got quite a lot to get through first. For starters, we're also building up the Deathly Hallows, which we see later on down the line. We're building that up so that they're going to play a bit more of an important role in the climax of the next film, in the conclusion of the story. The Deathly Hallows, especially the Elder Wand, and we're building up the Hallows. I mean, the invisibility cloak doesn't get as huge amount as the other two, to be honest. They don't even mention it's Harry's in the next film, but that's all the next. That's the next film. This film, we focus. Yeah, it's mostly set up. Though to be fair, basing the first of the two films on chapters that are mostly set up or going on this road trip journey in the book itself, then yes, it is going to be like that. And then the more interesting stuff that comes later down the line will be in the next chapter, next book, when they break into Gringotts and then move to Hogwarts. But what we get is great. We get fantastic Battle of the Seven Harrys. That was an amazing scene. The wedding stuff, that was brilliant. All the scenes building around that. I'm happy that they moved the Malfoy Manor scene from chapter 1 of the book to be the post-title scene. We start off with Scrimgeour giving a speech, then Harry, Ron and Hermione getting ready for what lays ahead. Though sadly they do cut the Dursleys, and there's 2 great deleted scenes that you can find on the DVD and maybe the Blu-ray as well. But there is 2 great deleted scenes that you can find on the DVD and Blu-ray. That, well, one of them sees Harry and Dudley reconciling, not quite as good as in the book, but they do have a kind of a reconcile. And the other one, not as far as I can remember, not in the book, is a scene where Aunt Petunia basically implies that she has been missing Lily, her sister, for the last 16 years. She does miss her, and she does sort of feel guilty about it, in a way. So it does show that she does care. So that was good. So we could have had a bit more scenes with them before they go. They get big name billings in the end credits, and they've only got a scene with each other in the pre-titles, or at the very least have an appearance later on or a flashback. But anyway, once we get past the wedding stuff, things start to get a bit more things plot-wise gets a bit more rolling as we go to Shaftesbury Avenue, and then we go to Grimmauld Place. Then after the brilliant ministry scenes, those were really good, we then get the road trip angle of the story, moving with them, the gang going on foot and then travelling from different places to places to avoid being detected, whilst trying to find a way to both destroy the Horcrux they found and try and find the next couple, as well as also discover stuff about the Deathly Hallows. And also they find the Sword of Gryffindor, which is reported missing at the start of the film, so that they can use that to destroy one of the Horcruxes, as it's got venom from the Basilisk Chamber of Secrets. So it's all tying up really neatly. I think the first hour is basically all of the stuff up to the end of the Ministry scenes, or towards the end of the Ministry stuff, and just before they go on the road trip, and then the second hour starts towards the end of the Ministry stuff, just before they go into the forest. Yeah, it's all really great, and then road trip stuff's also great. And I think actually I may have miscalculated with performance-wise. I think maybe Rupert Grint and Emma Watson do have their best performances, and both of them have it in this film, maybe with Radcliffe as well. I think maybe the last two were definitely standouts for Watson and Radcliffe respectively, but I think this time around, I think they all put their strongest effort into this, especially in the scene where Ron leaves. But yeah, absolutely fantastic, and they have to carry the movie mainly on their own, because not many other people are appearing that much in the film. It is basically just them for the most part. Radio Times did list it as a collection of high A-list cameos. I think that's what they said, or something along those lines. But mostly A-list, yeah, along those lines. With the Dursleys, that does definitely feel the case. Does for Alan Rickman's Severus Snape, though he will play a much more crucial role in the next film, and even a role in this film he plays an important part in without him actually appearing on screen. But more on that in the next film review, if I remember. Also get some new stuff from Michael Gambon, so he can be credited as Dumbledore whilst performing some new footage that does not appear in the next film. But does here. Bill Nye is also really fun as Rufus Scrimgeour in his few scenes. Well, not really fun, really good. Brendan Gleeson gets one last great performance as Mad-Eye Moody, and funnily enough, his son Domhnall Gleeson does play Bill Weasley, the eldest son of Arthur and Molly, and also Fleur Delacour's fiance and later husband. Fleur Delacour, played by Clemency Posey, also comes back for an appearance in this film and the next film. She's really good as well. Also, I have to note that I'm not sure about the next one, probably not, but this film doesn't see Domhnall Gleeson appear in the main list of end credits, played at the very end, similar to David Tennant in Goblet of Fire. And I think if these films came out after those actors gotten more notable roles later down the line, then they probably definitely would be. Maybe not even in the second lot of the alphabetical order, maybe in the first lot. David Tennant was going to be the Doctor and would be a very high-profile actor just after Goblet of Fire's release. And I think if it came out a year or two afterwards, he probably would be in the second, maybe even the first lot of list of names who are appearing in this film. And I think the same would say for Domhnall Gleeson, because of him getting lots of film roles, very notable film roles later down the line, such as being Admiral Hux in the Star Wars sequel trilogy, for example. And he does get a very high bidding on those ones. Well, I say very high, about the middle of the main ones. So yeah, that's not a criticism. That's just something I wanted to point out with. I think we also have some of the best sets and visuals of this film, but also we got some fantastic location work. Although it is notable that sometimes I don't quite think of because they seem to be going from one place to another without really knowing what they're doing. There is a comment about that by Ron and Hermione about Harry, that he doesn't really know what he's doing. And it does seem that they're going from place to place without any actual idea on how, A, to destroy the Horcrux they have, or B, how to locate the next one, or other ones. Which they're able to sort of do in the next film. They're able to discover some more. So I can see why Ron leaves. He's getting a bit annoyed by just a constant travelling and not really doing anything. In this film, it's pretty much up to the Battle of Hogwarts is at the very start of May. Draco must be home on the Easter holidays, so I think this must be from very late July 97 to April 98, and then the next film is April to May 98. Speaking of which, the later films in particular, the films have been showing stuff in real life that would not be seen in the late 90s. They're more of a 2000 stuff, like the Millennium Bridge, Dartford Crossing, although the tunnel they did get right, having one lane go northbound, one lane coming southbound, and then the bridge would replace the northbound bit, and both tunnels would be for the bridge would be for southbound traffic, and then the tunnel would be northbound traffic only. Whilst they sorted out, but we do get to see the bridge, and I don't know if it was opened in 1997, so that's Dartford, although it was really cool to see Dartford Crossing. But yeah, so there are some bits in the films that do seem that they're supposed to be, they would work if the film was set at the time of the film coming out, but in the time of the film actually supposed, like the books being set, and the books may also be as guilty to a lesser extent as to the film than the films, but maybe almost equally guilty with this. But sort of forgets about some stuff wasn't open by the time they're taking place. But yeah, minor criticisms, and also I do like that. I really do enjoy that fight in the aerial battle, and Voldemort's yell. That was a really cool scene. There's some really great action stuff, and the visual effects, they're absolutely stunning and brilliant, and some really great spell work. And one great thing from these two films is that the main leads are able to use magic outside of school, and they're able to then use it like how the other adult witches and wizards do. They're able to use that regularly and to their advantage, as well as also they can also use it intertwined with doing the muggle stuff, which was really great. How they're just walking in some places, well, not walking all the time, but having to go on foot means they're limited resources, having to go to places in the muggle world to avoid being detected, and at the very end, burying Dobby after he is sadly killed without using magic. And that is one thing I do like about the Fantastic Beasts films. Well, I do like those films, but I mean, one thing that I find brilliant, slightly better than those films than in the Potter films, besides the last two, is the fact that they can use magic outside of school or certain locations, because that gives them a bit more freedom to show off their magical abilities and uses of the wands and spells and all this stuff. So that was one thing I was happy to see on screen in the Fantastic Beasts films, was more witches and wizards using magic outside of certain places such as school or work or anything, just using it in the real world, just providing they don't break any law of their laws. Whilst we do get a bit of that in the first 6 films, it's very with some of the younger characters, it's mostly of the older characters. So it's actually really great to see the main 3 characters, as well as a few others, getting to use magic outside the school, which, yeah, I'm really happy to see that. Shows them off as great and also quite powerful young wizards and witches that they've adapted to using these spells that they've learnt over the time at the school brilliantly. And yeah, and all the location work, as I said, brilliant. I don't know if I've already mentioned that, probably. So on the whole, Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 1 is a brilliant setup. However, it is mostly road trip in the second half of the film before they get to Malfoy Manor. Great scenes there, by the way. Dobby also has some great moments. It's a shame we didn't get more Dobby in the series, but the scenes here, like with Sirius in Order of the Phoenix, they make up for the lack of Dobby in other installments. So, yeah, you can get an emotional attachment for him all over again with this film. And, yeah, I think his voice is a little bit different. I think it's lower pitched. I think, was it higher pitched? It's higher pitched. A bit more squeakier than in Chamber of Secrets. And I think he's gotten a slight redesign. I mean, not a complete overall, but I think the colour of his skin's a little creamier. A little lighter than in a Chamber of Secrets. Maybe it's because he's a free elf. He can afford to be a little cleaner. But yeah, and the death scene is fantastically played. It's perfectly done. The music, the acting, the practical effects. I can actually believe that's an elf there as opposed to a CG character, maybe on top of a physical object. That was so perfectly staged, and it could possibly be the saddest death to a CG character in a live action film, or at least one of them. Such a great use of visual effects and practicals, and so brilliantly put together. And yeah, and the final scene with Voldemort acquiring the Elder Wand is just absolutely brilliant. For those who were disappointed not seeing Dumbledore's funeral and the White Tomb at the very end of the last film, you get some slight comfort in knowing that the tomb makes an appearance at the end of this film and the start of the next film. So yeah, on the whole, Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 1 is a fantastic movie. It's not quite as good as the next one. It's not the best in the series, but to be honest, all of these films are fantastic. So I'm kind of repeating myself. It's just this one's not quite as high as the first 4 or the 8th one, but that's probably due to most of the road trip stuff not really doing much. But the first hour pretty much makes up for that, and what they do with the road trip stuff does work brilliantly. Such as the Nagini attack at Godric's Hollow, although it's probably the weakest flashback to the death of Lily Potter and the Voldemort attack in this entire series. It's just a bit of Voldemort putting back and forth his wand and Lily's body on the floor. We've had better flashbacks in other films, including the next one, so it was the weakest one, but still a great film, and definitely essential viewing, especially if you want to check out the last film. So I will be giving Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 1 a 9 out of 10. It's just that the road trip stuff, there was a lot of nothingness for a bit. I mean, there was a few cool scenes, such as Harry and Hermione dancing, the arguments, quite good character growth and development around those points, but event-wise, not really much happens outside of Godric's Hollow and the Sword in the Lake stuff before they go and see Mr. Lovegood. And there was a fantastic animation of the story of the three brothers just around that point. That is how you tell a backstory, as opposed to what they do with X-Men Origins Wolverine, where they just talk about it and there's not really anything visually to help you. This is, I mean, audio, it wouldn't be too bad, but visually, and you need something to supplement for the visions besides people just talking and looking. Here we get a really great animated sequence, and the story is quite dark, but for a 12A film, that works. And apparently this film was almost 15 due to the Ron's vision before he destroys the Horcrux in the necklace. That was, yeah, I can see why it was almost 15, but I think they managed to get it 12A, just about. They managed to get it 12A. Any more nudity in it probably would have been a 15. Yeah, which means I wouldn't have been allowed to see it, because when I went to see it at the cinema, I was 11. Well, with a 12A film that allows under 12s to come in with an adult accompaniment, which I did have with my dad. But if it was a 15, then I wouldn't be allowed to see it at all until I was 15. So yeah, brilliant film. And also, this would be the first of the Harry Potter films I saw at the cinema, and it was one of the best cinema experiences I had, and one of the best days I've ever had. It was such a really good day when we went to go and see it, and this was the cherry on top, and it was so bloody good. I've been a fan of the Harry Potter series for about 14 months by the time we saw the film, so I had missed, as I mentioned in my Half-Blood Prince review on the Retro channel, I got into the series after reading the first book at the very end of September 2009, 30th. So on the 30th of September this year, I will be celebrating 10 years a Harry Potter fan, like I did 10 years a Doctor Who fan on around the 27th of May 2016. 10 years after I started watching the show with the Idiot's Lantern. So, yeah, and of course, throughout the decade of the 2010s, I would get into even more stuff, film and TV related. So, that's been building up, such as 2012, I was in, about 2010-ish, well, 2010-ish I got into Star Wars, 2012-ish I got into James Bond. Again, I missed Skyfall, but we'll catch the next film in the cinema, and got into quite a few other stuff as well throughout the decades, throughout the decade of the 2010s. I was also a fan of other stuff in the 2000s, but some of that stuff like Thomas and Thunderbirds, which were two of my favourite things when I was younger, I kind of differed and moved away from their franchises for a bit until 2015 and 2018. 15 for Thunderbirds, 18 for Thomas, and rediscovering those and really enjoying myself. So the 2010s have been a fantastic decade as far as me getting into different TV and film and other media franchises and becoming fans of quite a few of them. Has been brilliant. And whilst Harry Potter is the very tail of the 2000s, I think most of the film I saw most of the films in the 2010s, with the last two coming out then, of course, and more of it has started coming out since 2016, from 2016. So yeah, had a fantastic experience when watching this story after being a fan for 14 months and a great day out watching it, and it was a great cinema experience. And yeah, and it was the first of the Potter films I would see at the cinema. Luckily, there was 2 more to go. There was 2 more after missing Half-Blood Prince, but there was still 2 more to go. And this was the first, and next time we'll be taking a look at the second and the final Harry Potter film and the current chronological film in the Wizarding World timeline. Although if they'll adapt the Cursed Child for the screen, or do any post Deathly Hallows stories later down the line is yet to be seen. But they're certainly going to be filling up the years coming up beforehand with the prequels, and maybe filling the gaps later on down the line. But certainly next time we'll be taking a look at the final film in the Harry Potter series and the last chronological film in the Wizarding World franchise, Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 2. And if you thought I was getting really excited about this film, saying how such a great time I had watching it first time and such a great day I had, well, this one, well, it's not as great as a day, but I don't even know if the viewing was as great, but certainly the film, oh my goodness, well, it has been for a long time been my second favourite film of all time. So, next time, Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 2. And yeah, I'm excited for this one. I'm super looking forward to it. Anyway, that's it from me. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye. Don't forget to click below to subscribe to the official Nicholas Payne YouTube channel. And there's also a great scene that wasn't in the book, or at least as far as I can remember, where Aunt Petunia basically confesses that she has, implies that she misses Lily. And there's a scene, and the other one is, and also sadly Mad Eye Moody died. Actually, that's the part of the story. No, don't worry. So it's all providing really well. Some of it I also got have been a fan of in the 2000s as well, and some of it we'll get back into in the 2010s. Thunderbirds and Thomas are notable. I was also fans of. Your mother confessed that she preferred me to be a son. Okay. Action. Ah! Good. Action. Ah! Oh. Okay. Try that one again just in case. Action. Ah! Ooh. Action. Ah! Ah! Now do it again. Should be like that. Ah! Oh. That was good. Action. Ah! Oh. Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 1, Fake Harry and Hermione. Bed scene, which is going to anger Ron to destroy it, and the Horcrux that's on the bed. Now, yeah, normally I should have the thing on the bed, but with all the smash up and downsies, it wouldn't make sense. Okay. Action. Okay, this next bit's going to be included for the cry out when Ron destroys the Horcrux. Ready? 2, 3. Ah! And 1 for Hermione. Ah! Right, that should be it. That's Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 1 sketch. That's a wrap. Properly this time. As I said, we'd finished after doing the Ron stuff.